Fuck
Oh
it.
shit! All right.
We're live.
Oops. Didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, it's all good. We're back. It is not Friday. It is
Oh,
Thursday. Doing a
we
little
fucked
makeup
up.
stream here. Life's busy. Um, we wanted to do this because we weren't able to stream last week for other
Mhm.
reasons, and next week we will be back at the normal time. But just wanted to start to get through the queue a little bit. Got a lot
Cool.
of you lined up to get feedback on your music.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't know if there's much else we need to do other than go through the queue.
Yeah, we'll get right into it. So we got. So I thought, Man of Mystery, Bush Loft, Jokerhead, Error Code, Black Book, Black Book, Ruben R, Eric Somerset, and Young Bindi. Shouts out Young Bindi. I see that you've submitted before, very recently. So nice to see you again. But yeah, so
Nope.
that's 9 people in the queue. We're gonna have a shorter stream today, probably end around 7. Um, see how much we can get through. Usually, when we do a 2-hour stream, we get through like 5 or 6. So now it'll be even less. So if you guys want to get your feedback right away, if you heard yourself in the later queue, or if you're just joining us, you can skip the queue with the little chat command there that says tip. If I click the button, it should, yeah, okay, I did it. You just give us
Yes.
a minimum of $5, and we'll go ahead and put you to the top of the queue. If you want to just submit in our free queue and just hang out there until we get to your track eventually, you can use the feedback command as well. But yeah, so without further ado, I don't think anybody's here watching us yet, so we could do So I Thought right out of the way.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So I Thought, song title is called Thingy. All right. Well, it's a work in progress. Definitely. Sure is.
Oh, it's not found.
Oh, no. Our queue's getting shorter.
Oh boy, here we go.
Uh-oh. Hear that, people? All right. So, sorry. So I Thought. Don't know what happened there, but next is the Man of Mystery. We've been looking at this, clowning on this name a little bit the whole time, and their artist name they put not applicable. So don't know what to make of that, but we'll see what this project says. It's a song title, Man of Mystery, work in progress. Something I'm working on, but I'm starting to really like. Well, that's cool. Not much context there. Man of Mystery is the song name, but if you're in the chat, let us know anything about the song. But yeah, other than that, we can go ahead and start listening. You ready?
Yes, and I have to go into FastTrack mode.
I was
Forgot.
gonna say, yeah, it looks a little bright over there.
Yeah. All
Fucking
right.
trumpet, huh?
Should
All
we do
right.
it?
Yeah, Man of Mystery. 3. Oh shit! I just
Oh,
realized I didn't have my headphones.
no swearing on the internet.
Oops.
As we
Ban
know,
me, Twitch.
the internet is profanity free.
Yeah, fuck that shit. Oops, excuse me. All right, 3, 2, 1. Oh, that's nice. Kick's a little far off. But nice vibes.
The hi-hat feels a little bit loud.
The open, especially.
Yeah, just the open.
Nice. What is that, brass?
Vibey. Is this the Chainsmokers in the background?
The plugs.
Get closer in the backseat of your Rover.
I like those vibraphones.
Yeah.
Cool movement in the bass.
I wish it was a little cleaner of a mix, you know?
I like it.
A little more minimalist or something. Like, those cool horn parts are getting kind of lost.
It's got this lo-fi feel to it that I really dig.
Like, I want to be able to hear more of the timbre of those horn parts, or you want to call them.
What, the little stabs?
Yeah. See, now
know.
they're filled a little bit more, but when stuff's going on, it's just they're lost.
Yeah, maybe with that little, like like synth. I feel maybe it's crowding it up a
I
little
think
bit,
it's,
but
yeah, some low mid buildup or something that's just kind of not leaving any room to breathe.
yeah. But overall, I thought that was sick. That was
Yeah.
cool.
It's
Really
weird. I
like
mean,
it.
I like the vibe a lot and I sort of can feel what's underneath it, but I'm just so like it's not like a horrible mix. It's just there's something distracting or crowded feeling about it to me. Like
Mm,
I can't get the full like I can't see all the instruments because they're being obscured, especially those stabby horn parts. Like those
mm,
should be have plenty of room to breathe, and when they come out, they should be very apparent. Not like, oh, really like those, but they're buried behind stuff.
mm,
And it reminds me a lot of like Chet Faker vibe,
for
um,
sure.
sort of that again like minimalist electronic thing that can be a little bit lo-fi at times, right? But
Mm,
I always say it's like the perception that something is like lo-fi or like hits hard or whatever is often rooted in a single element rather than the entire mix, and that's kind of what it's sort of like a perceptual trick that gets used, but it
mm,
makes it easier to digest your song while still and sometimes even strengthening that effect you're going for. Like instead of putting a filter on the whole thing to make it lo-fi or whatever, just have like one element that's super super lo-fi, like has record scratch all over it or whatever it is. That
mm.
can really help. But yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts?
If I had to like single in on what I think is causing the issue, I think it's that synth that's in the very beginning, the pad. I should say.
It could be.
I just think it's like right down the middle in terms of frequency and stereo space, and it feels like it occupies the same kind of timbre space and also a frequency range as those trumpets there,
You
which I
know,
agree they should definitely pop out more. But
I actually wonder that that might be part of it, but I really wonder what this would sound like if the hi-hat was just muted. Because
mm,
I feel like when I'm just listening before the hi-hat comes in, I feel like there's enough room for that kind of sound. It feels like it would float right above where the synths and the bass are. And it might be cutting into it a little bit, you know, probably is, but I just
you
feel
mean
like,
after the beat comes in, or
yeah.
before the beat comes in?
Well, before the beat comes in, just listening to that
Yeah.
and then trying to zone in on that plus the bass. But
Mm,
then once the like open hi-hat comes in, you realize how invasive the hi-hat is.
yep.
It's that combination that just it goes all the way from the bottom to the top. It's kind of eating up the frequency space.
Yeah, that's true. I guess I was focusing more on like the trumpet stabs or whatever they are, the brass that are getting kind of buried. I feel like it's because of that pad. Like
Well,
it,
no, that's what I'm
I feel
saying
like
is
that
I
pad
think
has
those
like
trumpets.
no business being down the middle like that. It could be to the sides, to
Yeah,
surround the mix rather, and fill in the cracks in the mix, not make it everywhere. So,
yeah.
but yeah,
It might even
overall,
be
like
that those trumpet stabs could be turned up a little bit too, just listening to it again there.
it's true. It's true.
Overall,
But overall, there's a lot to like. Really nice vibe. This is like lo-fi hip hop study beats. Um, city at nighttime that's raining somewhere in Japan, Tokyo. That's what I'm feeling. I think that's a very. Um, I think you kind of nailed that vibe. You got almost like a noir kind of sound with those vibraphones. Um, and then it's a nice like contrast there. It's like the vibraphones kind of sound like noir, a little gloomy, and then the trumpet stabs come in, and it's like a little happy change up. Um, yeah, I thought it was really good. There's just aside from a couple production things, I think the vibes are pretty much nailed. So overall, my vibes are like mm, probably like 90 between green and yellow. Um, I put maybe even 85 just because the hi hat itself is like almost to the point where it's grating. It's just very loud and it's very apparent
yeah.
right away. Like so, that ruins the first impression, right? But what do you have?
Yeah, I mean, if I were to like look past the mixing, I would probably put the vibes at 90. And I think like I mean, even if this was perfectly mixed,
Hmm.
at that point there might be a little bit of room for more excitement. I know there are some really good change ups throughout,
Hmm.
but I feel like maybe some sort of transition effects or sweeps sort of between some of the sections
Mm,
would help in that case to just like carry the energy forward and make it feel really polished.
mm,
And I think it's like that's just what I theorize you might need once it's cleaned up sonically.
yep.
Right now, it doesn't feel like it needs that because it's so crowded already.
Hmm.
But yeah, I
I
think
want some vocals on it. I want a rapper.
Yeah,
I
like
feel like
there's
this is a great freestyle song.
like it needs something to get to 100%, but
Hmm.
I mean, just because of the sort of listening experience with this those stabs and with the hi hat, I would say like brings it down to yeah 85.
Hmm. Hmm. Cool. Content. What do you have?
Um, I think for me it pretty much is the
Production.
production. Yeah, there's not really a lot, and I really like the way that it's arranged and written. It's a cool vibe. Like musically, it's cool. I like the instrument choices. I like the way things are arranged. So yeah, I think
Hmm.
the content is probably the strong part.
Yeah,
So
I
I would
agree.
I would just say, and I guess yeah, maybe you need some more like transitions or something to spice it up once it's properly mixed. So I would say I would say 90% for content.
Yeah, I'm at 95.
Sure, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I really like the sound choices as well. Like the kick, I think sounds super cool. It's super kind of out of the way, but I think it still kind of thumps in the bass register there, so it's really nice.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, production. We talked about it a little, but
Yeah.
we have a section for it. So what's up?
Yeah, it's pretty much like the basic advice. And I think of this more and more as we hear more and more stuff, but like really the general pattern of music production is that you take a it's called mixing for a reason, right? It's like making a recipe sort of. But like
Mm,
you take a bunch of different elements, right? You get like this sample and this instrument and this vocal and whatever. You put all of it into this mixing pot, and then you have to figure out how to distill that, boil it down, transform those ingredients in a way that comes together nicely and is not overpowering at the end. So like it's like the amount of ingredients that you use is like the volumes, right? That's like your most basic element of your mix. And then you've got the way that you process them. So like how are you going to cook, like the this is getting very specific into this analogy, but like how are you going to cook the different elements of this dish? Like you're going to cook the vegetables a different amount in a different way than you are like the chicken, right? Or
mhm,
the rice. They
mhm.
require different types of processing to bring them together. And then kind of the final polish is
The
like
sauce.
the little stuff. Yeah, there's like the seasoning is like the special effects and little cool things that you do that are, uncommon. And the way that you pair things overall is what makes it unique. And then plating it is like mastering sort of or your promotion, whatever you want to call that.
Sheesh.
But I just the point is that somewhere in that process, you really have to pay special attention to the like cooking processing part. Because if you just put everything together and you're not carefully considering how they interact with each other, then it's going to be overbearing or it's going to be out of balance. It's going to feel weird, sound weird, taste weird,
Mhm,
whatever. So, and even more specifically with mixing, usually you have to remove frequency information. That's sort of what you could consider like, I don't know, cooking the water out of like vegetables or something. But
mhm,
usually there's an excess of input, and you have to cut and carve that stuff so that it fits together like a puzzle and is compelling and not stepping on each other on the way out. So
mhm,
yeah, I think same story here. Need to do some more frequency cutting on instruments, leave some room for each other, right? That's what you want. And
mhm,
I think this could be really cool if it's sort of pared down a little bit, if it's more sparse and minimalist.
mhm,
It can hit harder. Again, it's this counterintuitive thing of like sometimes something that's more minimal actually is more impactful. So I think this could fit that vibe. Um,
mhm.
but score wise, I mean, I would say production is like a 70 here between yellow
That's
and green.
that's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah. To go off the analogy, I think the straight up beginning, or the last beginning, excuse me. The first thing is the volume. I guess I'm not going off the analogy yet, but the volume is like the most uh, noticeable thing right off the bat, and honestly, it's the easiest to fix. Like, um, you just turn up a fader, right, or turn down a fader. But yeah, that open eye hat was just completely way louder than everything else in the mix. So I
Hmm.
would put that down if I get like specific in terms of what I heard. I'd probably give the kick a little bit more volume. To be honest, it is like a hip hop beat, and I'd kind of want to hear the thump a little bit more. I love how the bass was sounding though. I thought that was good. Stabs we talked about. We'd like to hear more of. That one's kind of like a volume thing, but also what Josh was saying about frequency space. Like there's also stereo spacing. Like from what I remember, it was all pretty much down the middle, and so you're trying to cram everything. Let's see if I can use the cooking analogy. Instead of using like several bowls to mix different parts of the dish, you're putting all the same ingredients into one big dish, and it's just getting like muddled, and it's not tasting what you want it to taste like, right? So you want to like separate everything kind of in their own lane and give them their kind of own, not necessarily spotlight, but like they're in the place that they need to be. So for example, like the pads in the beginning, they're just kind of there for ambience, right? They're there to like, if I were to use the analogy of the cityscape and the rain or whatever, it's like the fog that's like filling out the scene. Um, they don't need to be the front and center focus of this image that you're trying to create. It's just kind of like filling in the cracks and kind of giving it like a wider ambiance. So yeah, I would say push that stuff off to the side. Let some of the more dynamic, interesting things come through the middle. Um, and right there, you can kind of free up some frequency space to allow other things to hit through. So yeah. That being said, for the most part, it was pretty much balanced, except for those very specific things that I talked about. But definitely not the worst mix I heard. So um, yeah, I like I said, I matched Josh's score pretty well. I think it's 70% between green and yellow. Overall, that puts me mm, like 80 between green and
Fuck. I knew it, dude. Yeah, we were just too synced up on these scores at this point.
yep, yep, yep. We
Yeah,
also, yeah, we did. Yeah, that's true.
it's just how it's been. I mean, you do this enough times, and like it just, I don't know. We have a good idea of how the scale works, I guess.
Hmm.
But yeah, I would say 80 also.
Yeah. I remember when we first made these traffic lights, we're like, okay, it's this to like make sure we don't get too granular, and then here we are. It's like,
Yeah,
oops.
funny.
Yeah,
I
is what it
mean,
is.
I think it's, to be honest, it also like there are cases where we do use like redo, right?
For sure.
But
Yeah.
you have to reserve those for when it's really needed. And luckily, like most of the submissions we get are really pretty good.
Hmm.
Like we get a lot of honestly really impressive stuff.
Oh yeah.
So it makes sense that a lot of it falls somewhere in between develop and good to go. But it wouldn't be as useful if it were just like it's just develop or just good to go. So
Hmm.
whatever.
That's true. That's true. But yes, thank you, Man of Mystery. Wait, we got their name now. Pyroman 136.
Oh, that is
Yeah,
a mysterious name, isn't it?
doxed, bro. It's more like a
Fire.
username than anything, but
Maybe
um,
he's changing his artist name. I don't know.
possibly. Let us know. But yeah, appreciate the submission. The next one we got is Bushloft. Um,
Sounds
before
like a
we do that, what's up?
sounds like a beer.
Bushloft.
Yeah,
That's true. Anheuser Bushloft. There's a
yeah.
little umlaut though, so I'm probably not pronouncing it right. I don't know how to do
Bushloft.
it. No,
Wait.
no, no. On the U, it's like
Oh, Bushloft. I
oh
don't know.
bush. But anyways,
Bushloft.
yeah, I don't think it just says like there's one person watching, but if you want to submit and you want to skip the queue, we do have a queue of what, like 7 people now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you'd like to skip the queue and get feedback right now, you can use the tip link. Boom. I love that button. And
Amazing.
yeah, it allows you to do it. But if not, we'll go down the queue to Bushloft, which his submission is, or her submission is, the Caribbean islands. Work in progress. No description. Josh, you ready?
No,
All right, we'll give him a
thought
minute.
there'd be a description. All right, we're good.
Wait, what's
Oh,
up?
wait, this is what the fuck? Oh, I
What?
clicked the wrong one. I was like, why is this link Jokerhead?
Okay. I would have
Okay.
put him as Jokerhead. He submits a
Bushloft.
lot.
We're there.
All right, Bushloft, the Caribbean islands. 3, 2, 1. Oh fuck,
Oh,
I fucked up. All right, there it is. The bass is rumbling in my speakers.
yeah, that's nice.
Did not expect
Very
this.
very open sounding. Oh, that
Whoa.
side chaining is a little.
Yeah. The whole sample is being
I don't think it needs that, you know? There's
It's
enough
interesting.
room for it to not duck.
Hmm.
Oh, but the glitchiness is kind of cool.
Hmm.
The snare sounds a little early sometimes. It's weird. Don't know if that's a quantization issue or purposeful.
Hmm. I didn't hear anything too early.
It's just like every once in a
Everything
while.
seemed in pocket.
All right, the fade back in. It sounds like it's from a distance. It's not just a volume fade.
Hmm.
There's one tom hit every once in a
Yeah.
while that is out of time.
Yeah, it's a little bit off, and it's just it comes in so loud and out of left field, literally.
Yeah. Man, that's really unsettling. Like there's a little bit of warp and a little bit of off timeness, but it's not that apparent. It's like, is
Mhm.
that supposed to be there or not? Hard to tell.
Right. I feel like it's for me. It hasn't been too distracting.
It's just so slightly off. Like I think most people wouldn't hear that,
Oh
but
shit.
it to me it's just like I can tell there's a very slight difference sometimes that's caused by some manipulation, and I'm
Mhm,
like, is it supposed to feel different or is it just like a mistake?
mhm, mhm. Yeah, I get that. Look at this waveform, by the way. It's just like I did not sense that it was that different. Wow.
Hmm.
Oh, maybe it's those kicks. Okay. Anyways, that was the Caribbean Islands by Bushloft.
The creeping islands.
The Creeping Islands, baby. That
Correct.
had a very interesting sonic profile to it.
Hmm.
I don't know if I could gonna be able to put it into technical means, but I'm hoping that you will because yeah, there's something that I'm noticing that I just can't put my finger on what exactly is happening. But
Hmm.
what do you have for vibes?
Vibes. I mean, it's nice to listen to. It's like a really nice sample. My only issue with it is it sounds like you just took one sample and put a couple kicks and snares and a weird tom over it,
Mm,
and a little bit of processing. But it's sort of like I was excited at the beginning because it is a good sample, and I liked how like then something was happening, but
mhm.
then it didn't go beyond that
Anywhere.
first thing that happened that was different.
Mhm,
Didn't really go anywhere. I mean,
mm,
maybe like for studying this would be cool, you
mm,
know, but it's not long enough for that.
mm.
So
Yeah, you need
I
that 1 hour mix. Do not
yeah.
send us the 1 hour mix in fast track feedback.
I guess, yeah, it's like it's one thing to stumble across a nice sample that, like, people would enjoy listening to even if you did nothing to it, at which point it's not yours.
Mhm.
But also,
At
like
that point, share the song. Don't make the
yes,
remix.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
this is my song because I downloaded it and looped it 2 times.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
But, yeah, I don't know,
I put this cool tom in it.
yeah, yeah, exactly, so I don't know, vibes, I like the original sample, I just don't really have much interest in what the song is. The structure, the thing that it's contained within is, like, a
Mhm,
little confusing, so
mhm.
I'm gonna give it, like, a 60% for vibes.
Yeah, sample is very good. I don't know. Maybe we'll get into just the production, and maybe it's just the side chaining that thing. But there's just like a huge discrepancy with with when the kick comes in and how like if we had like a garden, right, and it's like where was this kick like picked from? Like you have this even the tom that was like kind of too loud. Like I felt like it fit with all the other percussive instruments that was happening, but the kick was just so different that like it threw me off. And then that with probably how loud it is compared to the whole mix and how sidechained everything is to the kick, it just like throws the whole thing off for me in terms of vibes. It's like what is happening? Like I got this kind of like I don't know if it's like sambo or samba or whatever, like this like feel to it. This like
Sambo? Is that a
yeah,
thing?
not sambo. I think sambo is literally the Russian martial art, like kind of
Oh.
like judo and shit.
Oh,
But
but
they
you're
do
thinking of
expect
samba.
samba, perhaps. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I was
kind of
thinking
like
of.
like dancing in a dance bar or something.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like it's kind of like this chill, laid back thing, and then this super loud kick comes in, but it's also like supposed to be lo-fi hip hop study beats. So it's just vibes wise, it's like the processing of the kick was like a thumper four on the floor, but it should be for this lo-fi song. But the lo-fi song, everything else, including the samples, like this samba, very clean mix, almost like a. It's almost like a super clean like demo on a piano or something, or like a stock music.
Well,
Like it's that
sort of.
clean.
It is
This is interesting.
a lot of, like, jazz recordings, and it sounds pretty close to a lot of, like, live jazz ensembles
Mhm.
or trios or whatever. That like,
Yeah.
that's just the sound, and it's like, the if you're it's like an upright bass, which doesn't take up a lot of frequency space.
Mhm.
It doesn't have a lot of, like, resonance, sort of. It
Mhm.
has a quick faster decay, and, like, again, a trio is sparse because if there's only 3 people, it
Mm.
you get that's the kind of sound that you get, but that has also been, like, bastardized sort of to where there's a lot of, like, stock music.
Mhm.
It's like elevator music, basically.
Sure.
It's
Yeah.
that kind of thing where it's been turned into this meme that's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's evolved.
Honestly, no, yeah, but honestly, like it by itself is fine, I think.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, when I listen to jazz like albums and stuff, like that's fine. Like I want to hear a lot of the times you want to hear like what that musician's doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, but like what I'm getting at is like, and what I'm saying in vibes is like there's this mixture of like these three different vibes that are happening, and I feel like they just don't work.
Yeah.
And so it's putting me off in terms of listening experience. But
Yeah,
um,
that reminds me, like, I think it's quite common, or it's become quite common in the
mhm.
past ever since, like, normal people got access to, like, recording
Normies,
stuff. Yeah, like,
uh,
ever since, like, anybody can just, like, technically make music, it's become really common to just take, like, a nice vibe or a sample or whatever the hell it is, like, maybe, like, chop it up just slightly or not, and then just put, like, a basic sort of hip hop-ish, like, kick snare pattern on it
mhm,
and be like, "I made a beat." Like, that's, like, step 1 of modern beat making is, like, you just take something that's, like, cool, like a nice sample to listen to, but, like, don't do anything to it really, and just
mhm.
put, like, a something like that.
Yep,
So,
yep.
I don't know, it kind of rings that trope a little bit, which is almost interesting because, like, you have the overused, like, elevator music thing paired with the overused, like, simple ass, kick snare pattern over a sample, and
Mhm,
but the thing that is even more of a problem, I feel like, if you had integrated those 2, like, general concepts really well, where we couldn't necessarily tell that, like, one's from one source and the other is just from you,
mhm,
if the mixing was done so they kind of felt like they live under the same umbrella in the same world sonically, and the leveling is right, and you do some smart things, and even if just the pattern was more interesting,
mhm,
the drum pattern, it could have been acceptable, maybe a little bit simple,
mhm.
but it's just the fact that it's so obvious, like, what's going on,
Yep.
that makes it a little hard to listen to these days.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. Yeah. So for all those points, I think those are directly kind of. I mean, everything goes, to different categories, but vibes is like. I feel like those three different vibes are just there, and they're not mixing very well. And um, I think for that, I'm at like 50 between green and yellow. I think the
Sure.
sample's cool. I thought there was a nice swing to it that was kind of unique, and I didn't think it was distracting. I think it was kind of in pocket. But yeah, there's just like Josh said, like it sounds like unless you're the one that recorded this band, or you're the one that's playing the instruments, it's like then bravo on the
If
recording
so,
part of it.
yeah, like, that'd be cool.
But if it's like the sample, like this is what we're feeling like. It's like, oh, you found this cool sample. Maybe it's stock, maybe it's not, and then
Right.
slap a kick and snare on it. So yeah,
And,
but
by the way, we've got Young Bindi and Avenged 13 here, welcome, and Young Bindi, I
yo,
think you're on our list. Yeah, you're on our list.
what's up, young Bindi? I'm an
We
aspiring rapper. I'm trying to get better at my delivery. How would you recommend I do that? Looking for a specific process I do daily. Rap your favorite songs. Yeah, listen, shout out to Avenge. Listen to him.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, we'll get to the questions once we finish this review. How about that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, so content, I mean, again, I think I just addressed it with, like, thinking about where you get your samples and how you arrange the song, and just making sure, well, the sounding integrated part is partly arrangement, and sample choice, but it's also production. So just from the content side, it's like there's not a lot going on here, not a lot that sounds unique, really. Like
Mhm.
musically or sonically or whatever. It's interesting in some regards, but I don't hear much of an effort going into thinking of how to put these things together in like a compelling way.
Mhm.
So I think content, I would give it a 50% probably.
Mhm.
Or let me think about this because there's really the content
From the
is like
arrangements,
I
yeah,
actually like the vibe stuff better than the content side because like the there's just no semblance of like a song here really.
right.
I don't know, like, it might even be just closer to develop for content.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah, I can agree with that. Maybe I'll give it like a 20% between Green
Yeah,
and Yellow
sure.
because yeah, we might like the sample, and if they recorded the sample, cool, that's awesome.
Yeah.
If you didn't, which that's what we're gonna assume, you know, this is a tough world, I guess, where we assume the worst in people. But that's just what it sounds like, and it sounds like that the sample was like like a 10-second loop that you've repeated throughout the whole song,
Yeah.
and then slap some stuff on top of it. So we really like the sample, but we're trying to grade you and your execution on it and how you can make it better.
Yeah, I mean, and the truth
So,
is, like, even if we weren't judging this, like, if we heard something that sounds like what a lot of people have done, again, which is, like, taking a sample and putting a beat on it, simple
mm,
beat, it doesn't matter, like, if we know how it was made or not. If it sounds like that, it's, like, could be a problem, right? People might just, like, skip it because 'cause they're like, "This is amateur as fuck."
mm,
Um, Even if that's not what you did. So it does not matter how you make things, all that matters is the output.
mm. Yeah, I guess um, I would like to be able to give this person like how would we encourage them to make it better? Um,
Quit. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah, you see that big
No.
red? Yeah, that means stop, bruh.
Yeah. Yeah,
Not redo.
no, I think it's like I mean, I don't know your situation. It would have been helpful if you had put that in your description,
Description.
but, like, if you're, just starting out, let's see, do you have followers? Yeah, you have a decent amount. So, I don't know. I mean, if you are sort of in the beginning realm of your career,
Mhm,
I would say it's sort of related to what was just said in the comments here about, like, if you wanna be a better rapper, like, rap your favorite songs.
mhm.
If you wanna, like, make better music, try to emulate somebody else for a little bit.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I
I was
started
gonna
out
say that.
doing covers, which is, like, you have to figuring out how to play these or, like, what's going on musically in this
Mhm,
song that you like. Because then when you learn those patterns, you can, like, use them and create your own stuff
mhm,
throughout the whole process, right? If it's like figuring out how to arrange or how to mix and master, like if you're trying to emulate the greats and you can achieve that to some degree, then like you know how to go roughly from start to finish. Now you can just draw your own blueprint within that framework. So,
mhm.
yeah, that's my advice. What do you
Yep.
think?
Well spoken. Yeah. I was thinking the same thing, and I was going to say Young Biddy Event was correct with that. Yeah, just rap your favorite songs and emulate your favorite artists. Because like one, it's like what are we but our influences? But I guess we are the unique mix and match of our influences. Plus like your own life experience or
And
whatever.
and almost like this is super nobody's gonna understand this, but like
Uh
and
oh,
I don't understand it either, but
tuning
like
out.
from
No, I'm just
my
kidding.
from my understanding, like neural nets sort of have like weights that let's
Hmm.
just really abstract this. Like
Hmm.
um it looks at certain things and it weights certain things that it sees or learns more highly and
Hmm.
certain things less highly. And so it's like it's not just like everything that you hear and like your influence and stuff, but it's like the bands that you like the most and or the groups or the artists or the rappers, what do you like, which aspects do you gravitate towards about them, and
Hmm.
then like you sort of find those things and then they become your voice, and it's like even more specific than the whole artist. It's like
Hmm.
why do you as a person or a listener gravitate towards that artist? There's
Hmm.
probably some even more granular details about them or the way they do their thing that you really like, and other people might not even see those. So if you kind
Hmm.
of grab those things together and mix and match them, you might have a formula to be somebody unique that's onto
Hmm.
something.
Hmm. Yep, yep, yep. And to kind of hone into like onto what is that, I'll just call it those special sauces that you like. Takes practice, and you just got to keep doing it. So, I was thinking like maybe I would add this here or this there, but um, it's literally just kind of at the beginning stages. I feel like this song, it's like there's a beat on it, and there's a sample. Like there's so much that you could do with it.
Mhm.
Uh, but yeah, for the purposes of speed, content, I put it at 20% between green and yellow. I think there's a lot in terms of arrangement that you could do. I see that there is a change up in the kick there, but that was it. So add some other instruments, man. Like add some um, maybe progression. Like you start with the sample, but at the end you put these kind of strings that fill out the mix. You know, anything like that. But production, what
Yeah.
do you have? Mhm.
Yeah, by the way, and sorry, I'm just replacing the screen share here, but before we
Yep.
go to the next one, which is going to be our last song for today, we have a bit of a shortened stream today, but we
Yep.
will be back next week.
Mhm.
I think so. Young Bindi, you are in the queue, but we've got a bunch of people that submitted earlier that are up
Mhm.
still.
Yep.
If you wanted to go today, or if anybody wants to go today before we end, be the last song, we have a tip link. That's the system we use to prioritize if we have a lot of people in the queue and you want to get reviewed immediately.
Mhm.
Just donate $5 or more, whatever you feel is worth it, to get our feedback, and we will review you immediately. So
Mhm.
if you want to do that, be our guest. Otherwise, realistically, you probably will be up in 2 weeks, just
Let's
given the
see.
number of submissions that we've got.
Jokerhead, Error Code, Black Book, Ruben R, Eric Somerset, Young Bindi. Maybe next week. Yeah,
No, because
definitely
we
not today.
usually, if there's going to be paid people in that stream, then they're like, it probably
True.
works out to in 2 weeks or paying next
That's true.
week. So just to be realistic.
That's true. Sure, sure, sure. But anyways, we'll give that opportunity. Well, I guess we're still in production. So what do you have for production?
Yeah. So production, I think it's just like if you can integrate the stuff that you added better with the sample, that'll go a long way. And like we've talked about some techniques, like whether you're using a dynamic compressor or dynamic EQ, or like something that's, or sorry, like a multi-band compressor or whatever, sort of the opposite version of each other, I guess.
Hmm.
But just tools that can help cut a little space out for the individual instruments in whatever they're lying on top of. That
Hmm.
can help a lot. You can also just use manual EQ to help do
Hmm.
some of that, and that'll just leave an open space that that thing can kind of breathe in.
Hmm.
And applying some subtle processing to the whole mix. Like if you, the more, you don't want to apply a lot of processing, but if you apply like a little EQ, a little compression, a little reverb, saturation, whatever you have on the mix bus, the master bus, that will be applied to everything, kind of glues things together a little bit. So
Hmm.
that's something that can be helpful. And just like, yeah, I don't know. That weird side chaining thing was a little bit unnecessary. I thought like you could experiment with some warp effects and stuff, but just felt like we were just stealing dynamic range from the mix for no reason.
Hmm.
And it was in that middle ground of like the effect isn't pronounced enough to be cool, but it's also like enough there to be kind of annoying. So it's like decide, like, do you have an effect here or not? Right?
Hmm.
Don't be in the middle.
Hmm.
But yeah, score for production based on that, I would say like a 65% between
Hmm.
yellow and green. It's not
Uh,
horrible, but it just could use some work.
yeah, I was gonna say Uncanny Valley. That's what it seems like.
Yeah,
Like it's like there's this huge thing that's happening with the kick, and then everything else is like untouched.
right.
um, and also just look at the kick volume itself. Like look at the waveform, man. Like obviously it's too loud. Like do you need to sidechain it that much already if it's that much louder? And then if you do sidechain it, sure, but it's still fucking loud compared to everything else. So, um, yeah, I don't know. Like it seems like a super clean mix. Almost like nothing was done to it. So I don't even know if anything was done to it mixing wise. But luckily, sometimes it doesn't need to have a lot of bells and whistles for it to sound cleaner. Um, I'm probably at like 50% between green and yellow. Overall, I think that's about where I'm at. Maybe 40. Let's say 35. 35 between green and yellow. What do you have?
Yeah. Overall, I can agree with that score.
Mhm. Young Bindi, by the way, aspiring rapper, trying to get better at delivery. How you recommend I do that? Looking for a specific process I do daily. Definitely rap your favorite songs and from your favorite artists and stuff, but also record yourself and listen to it. Because
Yeah.
you have an ear of like, oh, I think this rapper sounds good. You're literally saying, I'm trying to get better at my delivery. So you're saying, okay, my delivery is not very good right now. Right.
And it's,
So,
I mean, in all fairness, it will be difficult. If you haven't done that
yeah.
much before, it will be difficult. And it, even for people who are really good at whatever, like singing or rapping, the first time that they
Hear their own
record
voice.
themselves, it's always gonna be weird. So it's a dual thing. You have to get over hearing yourself, but also you will learn more realistically what you sound like, and, you'll never know 100% what you sound like to other people, but
Mhm,
it will help you a lot to be able to look in some sort of a mirror, right?
mhm,
And just get feedback from people too,
mhm. Yep, yep.
like us.
Um, you're probably your own worst critic, so the most critical ear. I was gonna say getting feedback is, pretty paramount, but, like, yeah, you already know like, what you kind of wanna sound like, and if you like, the next step is, "Okay, what exactly do I sound like right now when I'm listening to this?" And it's like, "Oh, shit, then I need to change it," you know? So, do that. But anyways, alright, last song. There's a last chance, anybody. We have the tip line open, $5 minimum, or else, we'll see you the next time that we stream, which is next Friday at the regular time. But if
Yes.
not, it will be Jokerhead. Shouts out Jokerhead, friend of the stream. I think Jokerhead might be the most submitted artist in our stream now. It's
Mhm.
either him or Chess Bro.
Yeah.
But
True.
we'll see. I guess we'll go in 5, 4, 3. Actually, it's Chess Bro still. 2. Well, he really went on a spree. Okay.
Yeah, for real.
So we appreciate you coming by. And by the way, Young Biddy, shouts out to your first chat. That was cool. Um,
Yeah.
hope we could help in any aspect, and we'll definitely get to your song. You submitted to us. But yeah, so we'll go to Jokerhead for now. Black Noir. To finish released. He said, "Thank you so much for the feedback on retrospect. You both really give me a good outside perspective on what I'm missing in production, etc. It's good that you really zone in on stuff, get critical, take your time, so never change. Anyways, this track is very
Thank
short.
you, Jokerhead.
Yeah, appreciate you, Joker.
It
But he
validates
gets
all the complainers that we give too much time.
complainers to the haters.
Yes.
Anyways, this track is very short. I was making it when I watched the TV show The Boys. Must watch if you haven't. Never watched it. And the character Black Noir stuck with me, so I just called it his theme. Has a kind of mysterious superhero feel. Love to hear what you guys think overall. Sorry for the short story. That was a long story, Jokerhead, but it's okay. We appreciate you. Oh shit. Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. Black Noir theme. 3, 2, 1. An acid synth.
I thought this was Strawberry Fields for a split second.
I don't even know what that is.
The
Nice
Beatles.
bass too. I don't know.
People are gonna burn you at the stake for saying that. Some
Maybe
people.
they should. Whoa, this. Wait for it. Epic start.
There's a lot of high end on kind of everything,
Yeah.
and or like high mids.
Yeah, I was gonna say I wanted to I wanted to sound darker. I guess.
Yeah.
I like when the drum comes in, it fills out. I think melodic wise, that's like great. Great.
See, like, where's the body for that synth? You know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think that could be said for all the synths there. They're really thin sounding, thin and
Yeah,
um.
I'm
Sorry, what's up?
I'm trying to figure out like why is that? Like it's like almost every instrument has the same quality where it's just like there's not enough body to them. Like I don't know if it's like the fundamental frequencies are kind of like not emphasized enough
Mm,
versus the kind of timbral like upper like the character is generally like mid-range and up, right? And then like the
mhm,
body of stuff, the fundamental notes and the foundation is like low mids and lows. So
mhm,
not a lot of the low mids and lows here happening. But I'm wondering if it's just like, is it your listing setup? Like, does it sound like there's enough low end for you? Because there's like a sort of boosted bass, something like that.
mhm,
That could maybe be responsible, or maybe you're using a specific synth engine that kind of spits out sounds that have that quality.
mhm.
Um, I can't remember, but I'm sort of curious, almost like what your DAW is. I'm just trying to figure out, like, it sounds like there's something related to everything that's uniformly, could use some work maybe.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think definitely there's like a missing kind of low end in terms of body. Um, I naively I wanted stuff to fill out the space a little bit more, and I always say like, oh, just put a little reverb on it or something like some sort of. I think its body is what it's missing. It's just like, yeah, I want the mix to be a little bit more lush. I think when the drums come in, I get that feeling. But when it's just the synths, I could just kind of zone in on how high heavy they are.
Yeah, and I think it's like it sounds a little bit sharp, like it's almost
Mm.
like there's like the edges are too sharp. There's not enough like
Mhm.
roundness to anything really, right?
Roundness, warmth,
Like
yeah.
the way that I sort of think about this is like the roundest sound, and it kind of is true, but like the roundest sound is just like a pure sine wave, right?
Yep.
There's no timbre to it. It literally is like kind of
Fundamental.
a circle, right? It actually
Yeah.
is kind of round. And then as you get into like literally sharper shapes, like sawtooth waves and square waves and triangle waves and all that stuff, the actual geometry of waveforms is that you're stacking a bunch of higher frequencies to get to these sort of sharp corners
Mhm.
on waveforms. And
Mhm.
when you have these timbres on your instruments that are complex, clearly like complex waveforms and don't have enough of the fundamental, there's
Mhm.
like not enough element of roundness and there's too much just kind of like corner everywhere.
Mhm.
Um, which is why I think like it doesn't feel like there's a blanket of sound for things to kind of live in or
Mhm.
like a nice strong foundation to hold things in.
Yep.
It's just very kind of like it's all high frequencies and mids.
Yeah. A very bright, light kind of theme for someone named Black Noir,
Yes, exactly.
when it's
And I
really a little bit
also
more dark.
think that like a lot of your synths there's this thing that I've noticed where when something has like a filter on it or like a filter sweep, right? And the Q is too high, or there's just like the range of that sweep is too far. It either becomes like piercing, like there were a couple synths you had where the filter sweep goes really high at the end, so
Mhm.
like the range is going all the way up through the highs, and it just tinges your ear a little bit at the end of that.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. You just did it. It's like if you
Yep.
speed that up,
I
it's
heard
like
it.
those. Yeah, you can hear the timbre of
Mhm.
those synths. And similarly, when the Q factor is too narrow, it makes things sound kind of like wacky or something.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's some just
A
general thing that
boingy,
yeah,
boingy.
exactly. That's the same thing. There's like a boinginess to it that's kind of
Yeah.
like silly.
Yeah.
And it's a little hard to take some of these sounds seriously, especially when you want to sound dark and stuff.
Yes.
So it's kind of like we're connecting these dots between the like sonics of a lot of your instruments and the stuff you're doing to
Mhm.
the way that they feel.
Yeah.
And there's this weird human perception thing where there are kind of these geometric parallels. You know, like if things are too sharp or they sound too like springy, it sounds a little bit silly. So it's
Mhm.
like working through that stuff to figure out how can I make this sound dark and serious and heavy, but also have this 80s, synthy thing to it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's
I
interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. That this is like I mean, I feel like I guess this is mostly production that goes into vibes. But,
Sure.
like, yeah, the sharpness of it and, like, I want this to be, kinda dark and, um, like, 80s neon kinda feel to it, but it just sounds like bright, boingy. Shit. So I don't know. I think it's interesting because in terms of arrangement and like melody, I think this is one of my favorite Joker head tracks. But it's literally just the way how the synths are processed, um, is what's hitting my ear in kind of like a negative or critical way, or a way that I want to critique it. But
Hmm.
yeah, overall the vibes, I'm at like 70, 75. Actually. I think it's still really good. I think when the drums hit, I think they kind of fill out the mix a little bit better. Maybe you have they're very boomy, so I think there's some sort of reverb on there that's like taking up the space and giving the whole song a little bit of body. So as I'm rating it, it's like 75, maybe 80 between green and yellow. What do you have?
For vibes,
Yeah, for vibes.
I think I would have to say like 70 for vibes.
Yeah.
I just like, I don't know. I like the idea. I will say that like sometimes I wish that uh like I'm starting to be able to predict a lot of your stuff. Like I can sort of tell
Jokerhead.
once, yeah, like honestly, like once the kick and snare come in, the kick and snare usually sound pretty similar between your tracks. I think we talked
Hmm.
about this last time, but like that snare, it's like it's not bad, but I feel like it gets a little bit brighter and a little bit more stereotypical each time. It sort of just sounds like there's an uncanniness and unnaturalness to it,
Hmm.
and part of it is I did feel like again here your kick and your snare both feel like there's too much emphasis being placed on those high mids. It makes them sound out of proportion, like they're lacking a grounding, a foundation, right? That fundamental. Um, so yeah, just some proportion balancing stuff. And again, like you should let us know if when you're here next or whatever, like what gear do you use? Like I'm curious if there's something in your signal chain or more like with your monitoring situation. Because it could be that like your speakers are actually kind of blanketed on the mids and the highs and stuff, and so it's skewing your perception maybe,
Yeah.
or maybe you just prefer it this way. But if I'm thinking like I'm a fan and I am like, oh, he has another release, and then it's like the first third is always different, and I'm like, oh, this is like something different. What am I going to expect? And then always that comes in with the exact snare and kick sound that you have, and I'm like, oh, this is like almost kind of the same exact thing as a lot of the other stuff.
Hmm.
So, man, I would love to hear this with just a different snare and kick sound than you usually use, and
Hmm.
it may sound completely different from your other stuff, but that's a really like common element that can tell the user a lot about the sonics of your song and all that stuff.
Hmm.
Um, are we on content now?
Hmm. Yeah, we can be. Yeah. Or basically, that's what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, it is exactly the sounds that you use and all that stuff. I don't
Mhm,
really have any problems with the arrangement. I don't think.
mhm.
I don't know if I feel that it was like riveting. Like
At some point,
again,
right?
I
Did you say
sort
anything?
yeah, I sort of feel like um the arrangement structure isn't all that like shocking either. It
Mhm.
kind of just rolls along the way that a lot of stuff does.
Yeah,
I don't know if there were any moments where I felt like this is like, oh, I didn't expect that. You know what I mean?
I think I did that with the melodics.
Uh
Like
huh.
he was doing some weird
Oh
stuff.
yeah. I forgot to mention. I mean, that is a content thing as well. But we've talked about this before. But I honestly sometimes feel like these melodies. It's cool to do something different, but when it's like there's a certain degree that you can be out of the like key or the tonality and
Yeah.
for it to sound good, and you have to do that with style and kind of know what you're doing. And
Mhm,
I feel like there's still some choices here that feel random more than like intentionally wrong.
mhm,
They sound like you just kind of are making a melody and you made a mistake, but you're like, oh, I like being different, I'm going to keep it,
mhm.
except the mistake itself doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
So
Or like I'm gonna keep the same arpeggio pattern, but use the pitch wheel to change it to a different key.
yeah, yeah, sure.
So,
So
but yeah,
I don't
there's
mean to
sometimes
like
where I liked it. I think
mhm,
I think he has like a shotgun approach where it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this pitch wheel thing, and I'm like,
shotgun.
oh, okay. Sometimes it sounds good,
Yes,
sometimes it doesn't.
exactly.
So, but yeah, um, yeah. What do you have for the score?
Um, for content, I mean, I'm gonna say what did we do for vibes? Was it like
I said 75. You said 70.
oh yeah, I think for content I would say 65.
I think I'm at 75.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about I mean production? I think we went pretty deep into production actually.
Yeah, we called out the oingo boingo ness of it.
The Oingo Boingo, the
Wing
overall
wing
yeah,
wing.
the
Yeah.
overall balance, a lot of brightness.
Hmm.
I don't even know if it's just brightness. It's just like the transients are like too much, and it's the timbral thing versus the fundamental notes of the instruments.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Like I feel like relative balance between everything sounded pretty good.
Hmm.
Um, I think things were on the most part mixed pretty well. It's just literally like every single thing was applied this oingo boingo filter or something.
Where
And
do I get that? Native Instruments.
yeah, I don't know. You might not want to get it, but
Introducing Oingo Boingo.
oingo boingo. Um, but yeah, it's interesting. Like I could tell that you have an expertise in mixing them. I don't know if this is a mastering thing, but it's like literally. I feel like all the fundamentals are down. This now it's getting to a point where it's like subtlety and uh, um, style almost. But
Hmm.
yeah, like it's interesting. So I I'll probably put production at 60 because it's like I know that this is balanced really well and things sit pretty well in the mix for the most part, but like just the character of the song, it's like almost like a mastering kind of thing, or just like a later stage of mixing where it's like, why does the whole thing sound oingo boingo ish? So I don't know.
And that's what I can't figure out. I don't know if it's like a mixing thing or if you're using a plugin or a sample pack that just sounds like that, or I don't know. I have no idea what else it could be.
Yeah, but that's what we're hearing. Um,
Or
do
you're
do you
using
have a
the
score?
Oingo Boingo DAW,
Yeah, the oingo boingo plugin.
Oingo Boingo Studio.
Yeah, drip plugin. But
Yeah,
yeah, did you give a score?
for production.
Yeah,
I would have to say like 50%
yeah.
between yellow and green.
I definitely think I like everything else better than what's happening with the production. Overall, I'm at 70 between green and yellow.
Yeah, I think I would say 65.
Sounds good. All right, thank you, Jokerhead. As usual, appreciate you. He's climbing
Yes.
the leaderboards in terms of most reviewed on stream. So,
Yeah, that's sick.
but sorry to everybody that we couldn't get to today. Young Bindi, we'll see you next time or whenever you
Yes,
want to come in next. But
indeed.
yeah, people will be here at Friday, next Friday, at the regular time. Just stuff being busy for the both of us. So
Yes,
yeah, do you
yes.
have anything you want to say? Wrap up the stream, Joshua.
Not much. Don't call me that, mom. Follow us on Instagram. That's the link up in the whatever you call it, top right corner there. It's confusing because this is my left hand, but anyways, um, up in the top right, follow us on Instagram. That's kind of our home base where we post updates and top tier tracks, etc. Some interesting updates hopefully to come
Wait,
soon on there.
fuck, I'm doing it
Yeah,
wrong.
right. Exactly. It is confusing.
Okay.
Um, and then from there, you can go to our link tree and join our Discord, or you can type into the chat our Discord command, I believe. Follow us on Twitch so you get notified when we stream next. We are here every Friday, just about, from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. Central Time. Convert to your own time zone at will.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think that's pretty much all we've got. So we will be back next week to give more feedback. Feel
Mhm.
free to send it in over there, and if you donate in that time frame, you will be first up on the queue.
Ye-
So thanks to everyone for submitting music today and for joining, and we will see you next time.
Later, guys.
Later, alligators.
Peace,
Peace.
peace.